Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our summer family webinar series. This is webinar number 2 in our summer series. And tonight we're very happy to be discussing housing, dining, living learning programs with the people who make it happen, the engines behind this great cruise ship called Virginia Tech. We're very delighted that you are joining us. And that you are popping in. Just a couple logistics about watching a webinar. As an attendee to a webinar, you don't have the ability to chat, although we have the ability to put answers and web links into the chat. You do have the ability for a Q&A, the question and answer, and we will be monitoring the question and answer panel, but we just ask you to try to be succinct with your questioning. During our first webinar last week, which was on academic advising and course registration, for which there will be a repeat session, and we will post those upcoming webinars in the chat. We were just peppered with a lot of questions, and often a lot of repeat questions. So really watch and listen as you want to craft a question. And always try to make your question helpful to everyone who's watching, even though it might be somewhat specific to you. I'd like to introduce our fantastic panel. We're just so delighted to have such great staff and faculty here at Virginia Tech who will walk us through. We are the families who are kind of at the beginning of this journey, of this information process, and we're so thankful that we have with us tonight. On my screen, maybe not on yours, but we have Jamie Penvin, who's the Director of Living Learning Programs. We have Nikki Smith, the Associate Director for Housing Services, and the indomitable and wonderful Brian Grove, the Director of Dining Services for this entire, oh my gosh, Brian, how do you do it? Okay, well, we'll get into that in a minute. You're going to show us how you do it. So we're also very happy to have my Associate Director, the Associate Director of New Student and Family Programs, Samantha Buchanan, who is an amazing Q&A and chat monitor. And my name is Barry Lenore. I'm one of the program coordinators here in New Student and Family Programs, and my focus is on family engagement. And with that, we're going to jump right in. Our first topic is going to be living learning programs. We're going to spend about 15 minutes. Then we're going to move into housing. We're going to spend about 15 minutes, and then we're going to move into dining, and we're going to spend about 15 minutes. There will be an opportunity for a couple questions after each one, and then at the end of the evening, we'll answer any questions that are out there. We'll try to do that, and we will put the link again to the webinar. The link to if you're in this webinar, you've got the link to the next webinar, but we will put the dates into the chat. Okay, Jamie, are you? I hardly recognize you without the bow tie, but are you ready to take it away?
Yes, thanks a lot, Barry. We are. Oh, there we go. You'd think we haven't been, doing Zoom or sharing screens for, I don't know, the better part of 3 years. So good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jamie Penman. I serve as Director for Living Learning Programs. I'm here at Virginia Tech. There we go. Virginia Tech is a really big place. When we talk about 30,000 undergraduate students, it can be hard for students to find a sense of community, a sense of belonging, to find and make friends. And so living learning programs are smaller communities in the residence halls that help students do just that, to connect them to faculty, to staff, to peers. And it just creates a smaller community for students to get their bearings coming into the large university. So at Virginia Tech, we have 2 types of living learning programs. We have residential colleges, and then we also have living learning communities. Overall, we have 27 different programs in which more than half of our residential population live and participate in these communities. They're made up of students from all different academic backgrounds and include faculty and staff. And so to try to remember all the different living learning communities that we have can be pretty difficult. And so what I encourage you to do is to think of them as either population-based or interest-based. And so for population-based, it means that you are of a certain population. So that might be a major. So for instance, Orion, which is for 39 different science majors, or Galileo and Hypatia, which are engineering communities. Or it might be based on your status. So you might be in the honors college and want to be part of one of the honors living learning programs, or a transfer student, or first gen student. And then by far, the most living learning communities we have are interest-based. And these are, think of them as niche-based communities that are centered around a particular interest that a student has. And so that might be cybersecurity, well-being, entrepreneurship. So you can see that there's a lot of those. Because I cannot multitask, I'll ask if Sam can drop our website in, which is llp.vt.edu. And that will give you the full view of all of the different living learning communities. What I think makes our living learning programs unique and sets us apart from other institutions are the residential colleges that we offer. And these communities are made up of all 4 years of students, so first year up through and including seniors, as well as some graduate students. And they are led by a tenure or tenure track faculty member who actually lives in the residence hall with their family, partners, pets, and they help to coordinate all of the different programming that's offered. And so what we're trying to do is create a holistic experience for students that both sparks their curiosity and engages them in meaningful community. And so some events that happen in these might be weekly house dinner, speaker series, apple picking in the fall, that was a tongue twister, I didn't even realize it, and everything in between. One of the things that students love is that none of these programs are required. It's all opt-in, sort of choose your own adventure. I can guarantee you that there's events happening almost every single night of the week throughout the semester. Why should you choose to go into an LLP? Well, I've got 4 reasons for you. The first would be community. Your peer connections, and a sense of belonging that you're going to create by being among other students that are sharing this common experience. As well as space. Our living learning programs have space that meets the need of the community. Sometimes this might be tailored as far as the test kitchen that's in Meraki, our well-being community. The other picture you're seeing is Creativity and Innovation District, which houses 3 of our living learning communities. Often our programs are housed in newer renovated facilities or air-conditioned residence halls. Not all of them, but a number of them. We also know that students that are part of living learning programs do better academically. And so that means that they've had higher GPAs, as well as higher retention rates as compared to peers who are not part of a living learning program. And then lastly would be faculty and staff interactions. And so this is a picture of our 4 of our faculty principals that work with our different residential colleges. And they are great folks, as well as there's a number of staff. Each living learning community has a full-time program director that works with that community and connects you to resources, as well as is offering events that is helping you to connect with the other students that you're living with in the community. What's really important for you to know right now is that you can apply to up to 3 living learning programs through the StarRez Portal. My colleague Nikki is going to talk about the housing contract. That's where you go for the housing contract as well. Our deadline to apply is coming up pretty quickly. That's June 3rd at 11:59 p.m. With that, I will turn it over to questions or field however best our moderator says.
It's just I mean, I went to Virginia Tech right around the time they invented the wheel. And by the way, that was engineering at Virginia Tech that invented the wheel. So it's just a really amazing program. So this is the first time like ever even hearing about this. Like What's your elevator pitch that you give them? What's your 7-second elevator pitch, Jamie?
For students, this is how you're going to find your community. And then for family members, this is going to set your student up for success, both socially and academically. Maybe a little over 7 seconds, but right about there.
Who do I make the check out to? I'm ready. All right, any other questions for Jamie? If you have them, okay, there we go. There's some are showing up there. So, Nikki, are you ready to inform us?
I am more than happy to. So welcome everyone. We're happy to have you. Thrilled to be having your student with us very shortly. I am also going to do a little bit of a screen share, so give me a minute to get there. You should now be seeing a StarRez Portal window. Everybody good with that? Excellent. So I'm impersonating a Hokey account to give you a sense of what a student will see when they first log on to the portal. Some of the stuff up top, the admin user, not so much, but if we kind of come down here, this is what your student's going to see when they log on. So they've got a profile over, even, the Hokey has signed their contract today. So I want to walk you a little bit through the housing contract process. So there's a couple of different places you can go. You can go up to the top, or you can go over here to the side, try to make it as easy to find as possible. So when you click on the housing contract, it's going to take you to an overview page. You're going to start this process. And for the upcoming academic year, you're going to want to start, obviously, academic year 2024, 2025. This quick highlight will give you the big pieces. You started your academic contract here and you signed it here. The application status is under contract, but you can always come back, and you will come back a few times over the course of your summer with us. And so look, I'm popping up at Living Learning Programs. So there are several pages ahead of this, but this is one of the pages I want to highlight for you. So if you're like, I don't know where to apply for LLPs, it is right here in your student's housing contract. So when you get here, you will be able to see like all of our different programs. There are direct links to each of their websites. So if you want to check them out in more detail, you can do so. And then you can start adding preferences here, and that will take you to the application. I'm not going to add preferences to the Hokey so we can kind of move forward, but we're going to go ahead and save and continue and move along. This is the actual terms and conditions page. So this is the housing and dining contract. When you go to sign it, you're going to put your ID number in this box. The 90 number that you've been issued goes here. No spaces, no dashes, just the straight number. And then you'll sign it. And when you do this, to your Virginia Tech email, you're going to get an automatic confirmation that's going to have that attachment to that PDF. It's also on our website. So if you have questions later on in the year and you want to come back and review that contract, it's always on housing.vt.edu. There's a couple other things. We'll remind you about your dining plan selection. You can set up a web screen name and searchable status. We're not displaying the Hokey and roommate search results. Be a little too popular. Unfortunately, would be disappointing some people. But do want to talk about the roommate questions. So you're going to see that these are some options you have about how you want to, the kind of experience you want to have in your room. And then you can actually create a roommate group. And so this is one of the pages I want to highlight. So a roommate group is 2 people. It's just 2. We want to make sure we've got those pairs together. There is a PDF walkthrough here if text is your preferred way to get some instructions. There is also an embedded YouTube video here if you prefer a video interactive way to think about that. So you've got 2 different ways that you can learn how to create a roommate group. And then a question that we get a lot is folks are searching for roommates is I'm not finding anyone. So one of the things I want to be clear for you about is you only want to answer sort of these top ones here. And unless you're an LLP, you want to kind of leave the rest of them alone. Because let's say you're not in Mosaico Russian House, but you say like, no, then what our system is trying to do is to find someone else who has this Mosaico profile that says no, and that just doesn't exist in the system. So you're actually kind of letting everyone out at that point. So unless you're in one of these LLPs, just leave this on any. But if you are in an LLP, then please go ahead and select yes, so that way you can narrow to just people in your program. Because one of the things that we're going to talk about in a minute is how you select your room. And if you're an LLP, Making sure that your roommate's in that LLP is really, really important. But this is how you can sort of search through that. I'm going to move past this. If you have taken the Strengths Finder, you have an opportunity to share those strengths here. Bookkeeper is quite competitive, does a great job with that. And then the next page I want to highlight are our important dates. We actually have 2 different places you can find important dates for the upcoming academic year. One of them is right here in the housing contract. So we have already laid out the vast majority. Like, we can tell you right now when we're closing for winter break. I can tell you right now when your student needs to move out next spring. So please be mindful of these dates. They're ready here. They're also on our housing website. So if you've got travel questions, things you want to start thinking about, this information is available to you now in terms of winter, Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break, end of the spring semester. It's all right there for you. You save and continue. And now we get the thing that you care about. Here's your room assignment. So our goal is for as many of our first year students as possible to pick their own space. So this is how we do this. You're going to get a time slot in June, and you'll come back to your housing contract, and you'll go to this page, and you can see right now we haven't given Hokey Bird a time slot yet. But if I give Hokey Bird a time slot, and I'm going to do this live, so bear with me. Shouldn't take me too long. It's going to back up a little bit. Come forward again. And see, now this will show your scheduled time slot starts at this day at this time. So even if you've lost track of the email that we're going to send you, you can still log on to the portal and see exactly when this is going to open up for you to select a room. Much as with the roommate group process, we have multiple different ways of giving some instructions. There's some PDF if text is your preferred way, if you don't have a roommate group, or if you do. And we also have a embedded, you can also go to our YouTube page and watch this tutorial here. So what will happen is June 1 is our contracting deadline for new students. And then after that, we will start the room selection process. You can expect that students who are part of living learning programs will select roughly the second week of June. You'll get some more specifics about that as we get closer. The students who've not chosen a living learning program will select the 3rd and 4th weeks of June. Now, some people are like, oh my gosh, they're going to get the better spaces. Please be mindful that our LLPs are already designated as to where they're going to live. So general assignment students and LLP students aren't competing for the same space. The LLP folks have a specific block of rooms. What we're doing here is making sure that all of our LLP participants get a space in their LLP before we start to open up maybe empty spaces to other students. And so that's why we're going in that particular order. Both within the LLP process and within our general assignment students, your time slot is based on the order in which you signed your housing contract. The earlier you committed to Virginia Tech, the earlier we're going to let you pick your room. And so that's how that process is going to work. If you're in a roommate group, you're going to want to look at your time slot, and you can decide who's going to be the group leader. That is the person, you probably want to make sure they have the earlier time slot, so you have more options to select from. It is critically important that you be mindful of your selection time, you be mindful of who is your roommate group leader, and that you make sure that if you are participating in an LLP, that your roommate is in the same LLP. We designate specific blocks of rooms to our living learning programs. And so they're not going to be able to pull in people who are not part of that LLP that then starts to shut out the people who have committed to that program. So if you're not part of an LLP, you won't see those spaces. Those are kind of our big picture questions here. You'll come back, you'll do this process, and obviously it's not open yet, so you'll kind of go on through there. That's really the highlights we want to cover today. I'm happy to start taking questions in the chat. I'm going to drop really quickly to make sure that our information's in the chat as well. So there's our housing services website, our direct email address, and our phone number. We're happy to talk with folks whenever you'd like. Just a couple of quick things. Yes, processes are completed by students. So I know you have walked your student through their education up until this point. At this time, it's time for them to grow into their own path. And so we're going to send information to your Students Virginia Tech email. We really want to hear from your student when they have questions. We really want to communicate back to them. They are our contract holder, so they are our priority. They're also going to be the one getting the degree in the education. So we want to make sure that they are driving the bus through their path. So I'm going to go through and start looking at the Q&A questions, and we'll kind of go from there.
And I appreciate you saying that, Nikki. Here in our office, probably one of the most frequent things that we tell families is have your student check their @vt.edu email, because all the information is directed at the student and to the student, including all of this process. So I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah, if it's okay with you and Jamie to take some time and look at some of the Q&A, we had kind of a flurry of questions that came in. And if there's any that would be good to kind of maybe explain something to everyone, read those out loud if you want. Jamie and Nikki, I'll let you. There's a lot, so.
Yeah, I'm seeing a question about I didn't get my confirmation email. What should I do? I do want to remind you that that would have gone to your Virginia Tech email. So if you were checking your personal email, it's not going to have landed there. So just first go back to your Virginia Tech email. And if you don't see it, please reach out to us at housing@vt.edu and we can help confirm it. That email does need to come from your VT email. One of the things that is really critical with that VT email is that lets us know exactly who we're talking to. We are talking to the student, we can identify your account, and we can give you much more information. If you send us something from a Gmail, we're going to kind of pause a little bit and say, I'm not really sure who you are. I need to know who you are before I can give you information.
Again, the students so the students @vt.edu email is
Yep.
where we're sending stuff to.
When answering the information for yourself on the main page, is there a desired format or length? This is really up to you. I mean, think about how much do you want to read of someone else's profile and what do you think is really important. This is a little bit of a choose your own adventure, but you can, I believe in you. There also is a character maximum. So if you just run out too long, the system will tell you, thank you, but no thank you. How do other people find your roommate group? Part of that tutorial is that it will give you instructions on how to either send an invitation or accept an invitation. And so that is in those texts. To confirm if you're an LLP, you say yes, and to any to the others, correct. If you're an LLP, just answer in the affirmative on that roommate search and leave everything else alone. We signed a contract a while back. It's asking us to move. No, unless you make some sort of change, you should be good to go. The contract date signed is a what's what I'm looking for. It's been a long day, y'all. Once it's in, it's locked in as this is the day that we signed it. So you should be good to go. I do not see, yes, Patricia said I don't see the same top lines. The very top lines are because I'm an admin user. That's why I was like, let's look a little further down and you can see what a student will see. And then that way you are good to go. Let's see. Oh, this is a great question. If your student is in the Corps of Cadets, does he select a room? Nope. The Corps of Cadets will give us a roster of where they would like their new cadets, actually all of their cadets, to live. And so if your student is a cadet, he will make very few choices about where he lives for the next 4 years. That will be broadly determined by the Corps. There are a lot of things that go into that in terms of who are your buds, what's your company, what rank do you have over time. And so there's a pretty in-depth process that our Corps partners do, and they will give us a roster. We probably won't get that until mid to late July. And so I know that that seems nerve-wracking. Trust me, they have not forgotten about you, and neither have we, but that is part of the process. A good question about what is a roommate group. So a roommate group is something that allows folks to choose a space together. And so if you are wanting to live with a specific person, I recommend that you make sure you get into a roommate group, you get that verified. And so that way the roommate group leader, when it's their time to choose a room, can go in and make a selection for both parties. If you are in the HRC, we've kind of covered this already. But if you are in an LLP, just answer yes to that and leave everything else as any. We've got some great questions about SSD forms. Housing Services does not accept or review medical documentation. It's not out of a lack of care or concern for you. It's out of making sure that the folks who have the best training and the best knowledge to review that documentation and, you know, make some decisions about how we can best support you are the ones doing that. So any medical documentation should be directed to Services for Students with Disabilities. If you go to their website, ssd.vt.edu, and I'll drop this in the chat here, they have a great page about how to connect with them. They also have a direct system on how to go ahead and upload documentation and begin your process. It's an interactive process that, again, the student needs to lead. And so work with them on what your needs are, and they'll set up a time to talk with you and have an interactive conversation. And any accommodations that they support, they will communicate to us. And so if you send me a medical document, I'm going to, with all of my heart, say, thank you, I have deleted this and we will not retain it for our records. Because that's just, it becomes a paperwork and privacy concern for us. And so we're gonna make sure that we take care of it.
Okay, Nikki, let's take a little break from the questions. I know there's a lot of questions.
Yep.
And we will leave time at the end of the webinar here for going over some specific questions. Meanwhile, those of you who have posted a question, our moderators and our panelists will continue to try to answer some of them, either privately or publicly. But across America, it is the 6 o'clock hour, and many of you are waiting to eat dinner. And right now, Brian Grove has been cooking up slides and a presentation that he's going to serve up some delicious answers. Okay, I'll stop with the metaphors. Brian, take it over.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being with us. So I'm just going to I brought up our website. This is where a lot of our information kind of lies, everything you need to kind of know about dining services. So I kind of bring it up, going to help you navigate it. It'll help you walk you through your time here at Virginia Tech. We are waiting to feed your Hokies for everything you probably need to know with us. So I really kind of want to just open it up. So I'll share the screen. So basically you get to this lovely screen, and it does change over times. But anyway, you kind of scroll down through here, a lot of information that kind of will just take you directly to certain things that you might want to know. So the main thing for the night, I want to kind of talk about first is your dining plan, your dining plan policies. I'm going to bring it up here first. I'm going to go here. Actually want to work tonight. Actually, I'm gonna go back up. I'm going over to the side. So over here, so I'm going to go to plans and the policies. So you'll kind of go in here. So we got a lot of questions about the actual flex plans that kind of pop up and populated. I'm hopeful that our plans have been updated. Looks like the date may has not changed on here, but these prices here are for the fall of 2024. Here, I'll double check and verify, but the date is wrong. I just noticed here on our website. So basically, when you live on campus, you're required by a dining plan. So you have a major, mega, and a premium. And people ask, what's the difference in those? And basically, it's really the cost per semester. So when you look at the major flex plan, you're automatically signed up for that. So if you don't go into StarRez and do your selection, we automatically put you into the major flex plan. So the cost of that is $2,613. But really the other thing I want to point out is these dollars over here, the flex dollars for your major flex plan is $945. A lot of people go, why don't I have $945? If you scroll back up, you'll kind of see here, we actually take off the base cost of $1,668. That comes off, and that leaves you your flex dollars to be utilized on that. So basically, it's the buying power of what you want to do. So a lot of students pick the major flex. You can add on flex dollars. You can add up to $1,400 per semester. So a lot of parents will select that plan. If you really don't want to worry about it, you can actually go bigger, and you can go all the way to the premium flex plan. That's the highest cost one, and gives you the maximum amount of flex dollars into your account. Some parents like that one. Main thing to remember, your flex dollars roll over from the fall to the spring. It's very important to know that. We love feeding Hokies. Our expectation is that all Hokies eat great food and use up every single flex dollar they can out of their account. Have $0 at the end of the fall semester and $0 at the end of the spring semester. But they do roll over, and you do have a chance to downsize or upgrade at the end of the fall semester. So you go back in the StarRez and select your plan for the spring semester. You do that, and those flex dollars that are left over, they come back into play at the end of the spring semester once you utilize your flex account base plan for the spring semester. So they're there, you don't see them, but your student can see them in their Hokie Passport account. They can track their dollars in there. So when you kind of do that, you kind of see this, and our policies are here. And the main thing is kind of like people ask how many you actually can eat. We tell students they can eat probably about 10 meals per week, 10 to 12, megas 12 to 13, and then premiums 14 and above. And a dining experience is different for all students. No one student eats the same, and it's very important to kind of go. And these things down here, you can kind of add on to, excuse me, on that. Other things I like to just point out here are daily menus. You can actually go through the menu. You can actually choose a location where you might want to eat. And these things will actually populate the dining center's meals online. You can also filter out allergens as well. You kind of go in here and set up. Right now, we have nothing open, so I can click on one of these. It's not going to bring up anything. So I bring up D2. Actually, it shows you different locations, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You kind of scroll through those. You can actually go here, and you can actually scan here. We actually have menus online. We're actually closed. I'm surprised these are actually online. So you can kind of see through here as well. Main things I will show you, you can kind of see the allergens that are kind of listed in a big exclamation point here. Like, so caramel junior chicken, it has milk, eggs, peanuts, wheat, soybeans, gluten, and sesame on here. So along the side, you can actually scroll through and actually set an allergen filter. You kind of go over here, and here's where I like to show parents, especially our students who have any type of allergens. And it's really kind of important here, kind of answers a lot of your questions. But you kind of go in, I want to say, let's say I have a tree nut allergy. I can set that. I want to say contains, and I can set that. I'll say apply. And if I go back into it, you can kind of see the menu items kind of get a little smaller, and it actually filters out everything that has a tree nut for you. It shows you what the what items have tree nuts in it. You can also do it the other way, does not contain, it'll show you those as well. And the filtration system is pretty accurate here. And like I said, you kind of see me during open house weekends. We take this very seriously because you all as parents take and put a lot of trust in dining services to send your students here and eat with us. And we have what we call yes@vt.edu. You can email one of our great dietitians, and they will be able to help you and assist you if you have any additional questions as well. Other things you can kind of see here, daily menus, hours of operations. A lot of people like to know what's open, and we have a great calendar feature. And you can see here by the dates. You can click on these, and you can kind of see what is actually open. And you can kind of go through here. It lists out the hours of operations. We're operational from 7 a.m. in the morning till 2 a.m. is our latest late night operation as well. So you can kind of get all this information here on our website. It's great to kind of just use as a resource. We tell our parents to kind of go here. It can answer a lot of questions for you on here. So that's where we kind of look at those. Go back to the to our open thing. So really kind of what I want to share through on the website and I'll kind of go from there. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So a lot of information there to kind of walk through. But main things for the night: decide your dining plan, figure out when you want to, what you want to select. I saw one question in the chat about when do I have to pick my dining plan. You can do that now. You can go all the way up to right before the first day of move-in, the night before, 11:59. You can select and change your dining plan up to that, but they do go live on move-in day at 7 a.m. in our facilities. All right.
A lot of questions pouring in. One of the things that I hear said pretty frequently, Brian, to families is that don't worry, you can always add dining dollars. You can add money. So you don't have to like plan out and know that my child's going to eat this many meals and times this many weeks and blah, blah. You can always add money, correct?
That is correct. So you add more flex editions, they'll get the same actual discounts on that. So you can go all the way up to $1,400. That's the threshold. We might up that a little bit with the new pricing structure for the fall semester. Look for that, but right now currently is at $1,400. So you can add all the way up. Those dollars stay with you. Beauty of adding in flex editions, they stay with you as long as you're a student and you buy a dining plan. So those actually never go away. It's just your base dollars for the flex dollars that do go away at the end of the spring semester. So very important to kind of pay attention to that. We don't like to leave money on the table. I'm a proud parent. I don't like to leave money on the account. So we want you to spend it. Like I said earlier, spend every single dollar on great food while you're here as a student on our campus and living with us.
All right, so just clarify that again, because that's a multiple question about those dining, that rollover. Like when does it roll over and when does it stop?
So fall to spring, it rolls over. Your flex base plan, those roll over. In a spring semester, the flex plan base plan does not roll over. You'll lose it come spring. That Wednesday of closing of exams, that's when you lose it. 8 o'clock. That's when it usually cuts off. So, okay. And the flex editions, those stay with you as long as you buy a dining plan. Okay.
All right, we have a question about like, and this is, it is a little confusing because you do so much. There's so much variety and so many ways that you can dine at Virginia Tech. There's a question about like, does this come with a certain number of meals or is it based on the price? So can just rehash that again.
So it's really kind of, we are like a debit-based system. So basically, you kind of like you have that 900 and some odd dollars. We just deduct every time your student comes into our dining center, your purchase comes off of that balance. One thing I didn't show you on the website, we actually have a flex use guide. I don't know if it's updated and online currently, but we're still getting ready for the fall semester. But underneath that little hamburger icon at the top, you can actually do a drop-down menu. We have a flex use guide. You can actually track by the week where you should kind of be at on your flex spend. So yes, every student's different. I might think a cup of coffee is breakfast. Somebody else might need to go to D2 and eat all you care to eat and pay $5 and some change on there. So, okay.
All right. And I have, it's a little different than when I was a student here in the 80s, I'll say that, but it's fantastic. I've had the great pleasure of eating in several of the dining halls, not every single one of them because there's so many. All right, we're going to move through our Q&A and we're going to try to just basically move from top down. And if you could, if you as the panelists see a question that you think is important enough to read out loud, if you'll go ahead and read that so that it's part of the recording. I will say to everyone watching that we are attempting to figure out, we do get the Q&A as a report and we're trying to figure out how to make that a document that is then either postable or shareable and include that in the description of our YouTube video of the recording of this. And we also do put the chat answers and links into the recording description on our YouTube channel. So know that. I know some folks are like at the end of the video, they're like, I couldn't download the chat, but don't worry about that. All right, let's move through some of the questions and we'll just, Nikki, if you want to go ahead and.
Sure. I've tried to get to most of the housing questions. I am going to answer this one live. We see a lot of questions about students that don't have a roommate group. This is not no panic. If your student hasn't made a selection, that's okay. A lot of students don't. And our sort of experience doesn't really say that having a roommate group ahead of time or not actually makes you more successful. We have just as many roommate conflicts and room changes from folks who picked their roommate ahead of time as we do from those that don't. I hate to say that to you, but it is true. There is no magic bullet here to finding the right roommate ahead of time. So if your student does not have a roommate group ahead of time, when they log on, they'll still be able to see the buildings and rooms that are available, and they'll be able to look at a room and see if anyone has already selected into it. And if someone has, they can click on that person's profile, they can see what that person wrote about themselves and go from there to make a decision about, do I want to join this person in this room or not? And if they do, they can select on into it. And if they don't, they can move on.
All right, so I'm at the top of the list. I'm just going to kind of rate them and go down through here. So how much does a meal cost at the campus? This is really kind of just kind of planning your budget. So it's different per person. It can be anywhere from, let's say, $5.50 up to $10.15. It can be varying, throughout. Just depends on what you select off the a la carte menu, and what that would choose. So we tell our students he can, on average, anywhere between like $8 to probably $12. Depends on how you spend your money. So I get a lot of questions from parents. I spent my money, and where does that go? So flex dollars is actual money that we can use on campus. Yes, those flex plans are only to be used on campus. So when you buy a flex plan, you use those in all of our dining facilities across the campus. We have a couple outliers that are not a part of the dining system. So those are different. Those are from the credit card, and that's really at the library, there's a location there, and also at the vet med school. There's another location out there, but they don't accept dining plans. Only things that are operated by dining services, they can use flex dollars. So flex dollars are actual, yes. What's the difference between dining dollars and flex dollars? Flex dollars are part of your flex plan. Dining dollars are used by off-campus students. So when your student moves off campus, they can actually use dining dollars and they put money into that dining dollars account. They get a 5% discount for that. So that's more in play on it. We get a lot of questions about what's flex, what's dining. Flex dollars are part of the flex plan. And they can typical cafeteria style. So we have one all you care to eat dining facility. All the rest are retail a la carte locations. Where can I find? I just showed you on the dining website. You can go to our dining.bt.edu, check out the pricing for all the dining plans. What was listed there tonight, I would verify when I get off the call, but I should have read 2024. Those are the correct prices, I'm pretty sure, on that. So you can see those pricing listed on the website. Thank you for putting that in there for me. Do flex dollars roll over from to the next academic year? No. The base one, when you buy your major flex plan, fall, major flex plan in the spring, you have to use those up. Only dollars that roll over are any additions of that $1,400 you can add on. Those roll over and are available if you purchase another plan next year. Does a plan provide a student with a certain number of plans? We estimate 10, 12, 14 in that order from major, mega, and a premium. It's not a guarantee. Again, it's individualized by the student and how they select to spend their monies. Can they eat anywhere on the campus with a dining plan? Yes, they can. As long as it's operated by dining services, like I said earlier, we only have 2 locations that don't affect a whole lot of students. So yes, they're all available. Flex dollars are part of your major flex plan, mega flex plan, or premium flex plan. So those are what we call flex dollars. I talked about that one already, about 10 meals per week. We try to tell students, parents kind of, if your student goes to D2, the all you care to eat facility, that's the best bang for the buck. And that will give you actually more actual dining experiences. And broadens that base expenditure for your student. But students like to venture out and go to the other locations, and that's where it kind of gets tricky on that.
That next question from Patricia is a pretty good one. We get that a lot about the, you know, the actual what they actually covered once certain, you know, the remove the fixed costs. Like, can you explain that a little more, Brian?
Yeah, so the base plan, you know, so you buy a major flex. So those flex dollars, those go off. It's like 900 and some odd dollars of flex. Those you get the discount, or you pay a door price at the all you care to eat facility. So that's really kind of what that means. So the base cost we like to talk about is really goes towards, maintenance, labor, just really kind of goes back into the system to pay some bills up front. And those are listed there also in the dining plan information, kind of gives you a little more detailed information. That's just where we kind of do and look at it and kind of go through.
It is dinner time across America. People are thinking about food right now, Brian. So
Yeah,
you are the star right now.
Bulk buying, that's really kind of like the next question. I may skip down too far, sorry. My screen keeps scrolling down to the bottom every time somebody wipes in. Where do you keep count of swipes? Those are in your Hokey Passport. Your student can actually go into their account and see exactly where they spent all their dollars in it. So they can see, I spent, $2.50 here, $5 here, $8 here. You can see all those expenditures in that Hokey Passport account. Your student has access to that and look at it. I may have missed this. What's the difference between base and flex? Base cost, I think I covered this one already. Just a cost we take, overhead, and then the flex dollars is what you have left to spend in your facilities. What is the main difference between flex additions, and dining dollars? I hope I've answered that question already. So hopefully I covered that one. If there's another question, feel free to leave it there if I need to. Yeah. Sorry, I'm down at the very bottom again. So, can students use a plan for a guest? Yes, the dining plan is an individual dining plan. So, occasionally if your, student wants to bring in a friend, they can swipe the card to pay for a meal. But it's really important to know you cannot share your dining plan on a regular basis. So basically it's your plan. So I can treat Barry if I want to take him out for a meal, and that's okay. But I cannot bring 10 of my friends during one meal period and swipe the card for 10 guests. That's not really allowed on that. Okay. So it doesn't mean that every meal, regardless of where on campus, has an a la carte price associated with it. So again, all you care to eat, there's a door price. So you have a breakfast price, you have a dinner, lunch price, and a dinner price. There are 3 different price points for D2. Everywhere else, it is a la carte, and you get the discount. So if you see $5 on the menu board, it'll be discounted when you swipe your Hokey Passport. It'll be $2.50 when your student goes through the line. Who uses the basic plan if students are automatically enrolled in the major plan? We just do that. So if your student misses going in the StarRez, what we don't want to occur is your student gets here on day 1 and doesn't have a dining plan associated to them. So we automatically just assign you a major flex plan. That's the base one. It's the cheapest. So we don't want to overtax a parent, and put them in the highest, premium flex plan when they most likely don't want that. So we try to pick the cheapest option for a parent to go ahead and automatically assign a major flex. What's the difference between flex and dining dollars? I've answered that question, I do believe. So in the page, Yeah. So in the page, when it mentions meals per week, refers to one meal like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's really kind of more associated. We use that for the D2 all you care to eat facility. When you say 10, 12, 14, that's our best guess just based upon our historical data that we use to do that. Again, you can stretch your flex dollars by eating at all you care to eat at D2. And also we have different price points within the dining centers as well. So one dining center might be a little more, others might be a little less cost to your students. Yes, and you parents who come in for family weekend, hope you all join your students when I'll give a shameless plug for Sam and them. So, we have family weekend. Yes, you can swipe for you as parents and family. When they come in, you can use that dining plan as well when you come through.
Here's
That's
a
one
little,
weekend we don't actually mind, taking care of our parents and family that come in. Okay.
here's a chance to brag a little bit. So one of the questions is, are there changes in some of the offerings for this coming fall? A little chance for you to maybe give us a little sneak peek at what's
Yeah.
coming this fall, Brian?
So you haven't heard, you go on our website, we have a brand new state-of-the-art dining facility opening the first day of classes, Perry Place at Hitt Hall. It has 9 new different dining venues in that location. We are super excited. We also are doing 3 major renovations. We just recently didn't renew a contract, so we're doing 3 brand new self-branded concepts at Squires Food Court, the Graduate Life Center, and also at Goodwin Hall. We have 3 brand new facilities we have there. So couple new technology pieces. We've got one, we haven't signed the contract yet. So at Goodwin, we're going to pilot a new pay system there. Super excited about that. But yeah, you shouldn't go home hungry. Your students should be able to find something to eat. But yeah, Perry Place is the highlight, and we're super excited about that being open. It's been a long time coming to the university community. On the academic side of campus, at the bookend to Turner Place, it's going to be great when it opens up.
And how about a quick plug for working on campus in one of the dining centers as a student?
Yeah, we're always looking for employees. We're a great place to work. We have over 1,800 student employees who work throughout the entire dining organization, housing, they have students as well, along with, LLP, we have student leaders as well. So a little bit about me, yeah, so thank you for the plug there, but you can apply. There's information on our website as well to how to go in and actually apply for a job. It allows some good money to come to your student. We also give free meals. Also, you can supplement your dining plan by actually working for us. You can actually earn, a free meal on us when you work for us. So it also supplements a dining plan as well. So.
All right, we're going to keep on answering some of these questions, although what you're going to see is about to change. I'm going to share my screen and have kind of a final slide that has some information on it, although we will remain on the call here and continue to answer some questions. So panelists, brace yourself, because Barry is going to attempt to do something technical again, which is often unsuccessful. Let's see if I can get it to work here. Oh, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Here we go. Okay. Are you seeing a slide? Say, okay, good. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will continue to answer some questions here, either out loud or in the Q&A. So panelists, please interrupt me, because with my screen sharing, it gets a little freaky, but I do want to encourage all of you who were in attendance to give us some feedback about this webinar. Use the QR code there on your screen, or type in the website down below the QR code. It really helps us to improve. And if there's some information in there that we can then add into the recording or into the description of the recording, that's helpful. Again, these recorded webinars are available at our YouTube channel at Hokies on youtube.com/@hokiesontrack/videos. That includes the May 15th academic advising webinar with the amazing and computer-like brain Lauren Thomas. Future webinars are listed there. And then we always are going to point families to the nowwhat.vt.edu. If you haven't seen that step-by-step on all these, it's got links to all the information of what you should be doing, including a new student checklist and information for families. And remind families that you can also do the exact same mandatory virtual orientation that your student does, which is mandatory for your student, but optional and encouraged for you to get all this information. So often when we get a question on our phone from our office, our first answer is, have you looked at nowwhat.vt.edu and/or have you done the optional virtual orientation? In other words, a lot of those answers are going to be there. If you have questions, you can always email us at families@vt.edu. We'll try to get those answers as quickly as possible. Our phone number is there, our Facebook page is there, and our website is there for our entire office, students.vt.edu/transition. So we're going to stay on and live here for a few more minutes for folks. Panelists, I'll let you answer anything out loud that needs to be answered out loud, or any closing remarks.
I just want to do one more plug for, I can't stress enough how important it is that your student gets logged onto that Virginia Tech email and is checking it daily. All of our official university communication is going to come to that email address, and you don't want to miss anything. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming because so many people are trying to talk to you all at once, and I get that. Hang in there with us and make sure you are really looking at that daily. Again, we really want to talk with your student. When there's a concern, your student is the one who's living with us. They're having this experience directly. They're the ones that we want to hear from directly so that we really understand where they're coming from, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and we can best help them. So help them start to make that transition. I know sometimes it's scary to make a phone call, but I promise we have tons of students who answer the phone and they've learned how to do it. So I believe in you and your student as well.
And I just want to reiterate as far as our deadline related to living learning programs. So June 3rd, 11:59 p.m. If you're on the fence or you know that you do want an intentional experience, but you're not sure which program might for you, our staff are more than happy to talk with you, the student. Family, we're going to say, well, hey, have your student give us a call. And we are committed to helping students find a community where they can connect. That being said, I do want to say that we do have some programs that are starting to fill, and we post those on our website. And so I just encourage students to go ahead, get in there. That just applying does not commit you to a living learning program. It's not until you accept that offer where we'll then note you down as being in that living learning program.
Yeah, I was going to say one question that came through on the Q&A. Minor Flex Plan is only available to on-campus students, so you won't see that as an option for on-campus students. So that was a question somebody's asking, the difference between the cost. It would be cheaper to do that one. The Minor Flex Plan, I'll just share this. When your student potentially moves off campus in the next year or in 2 years, maybe, you actually don't get actual additions on the Minor Flex Plan. So it's one and done on that. So just an FYI.
Okay. I'm a person who can't stand a long silence. Sam, is there anything else that we're forgetting to remember?
I got one more. It's a
Okay,
good one.
great.
Can I answer it live before
Yes,
I go out?
please.
Sorry. Somebody asked about allergies or posted by the foods. Also, does it vary by dining center? We actually just actually have menu boards up. The actual allergens are actually listed at the NH serving line now. The only still D2, not been done currently. So you'll actually be able to see allergens listed as well. So Thank you.
Excellent. Sam, anything?
Nothing that I can think of right now.
All right, folks, just a reminder that we are trying to figure out a way to take that Q&A, because we get a report, and then make that shareable to you somehow within the description of the video. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're a very innovative campus here at Virginia Tech. We have invented the future in the past, and we can do it again. So we want to thank everyone. Let's once again thank our panelists, Brian Grove, Jamie Penvin, Nikki Smith, for their insight and their professionalism. Just a resource of information. Families, one step at a time. We'll figure it out together. And if you do have questions, please email, please reach out. But also do your homework. Do your homework too. Start with nowwhat.vt.edu, and make sure that your student is checking their @vt.edu email daily, because that is where all this information is funneling to. It's time to cut the proverbial cord, but not just yet. Not just yet. Help them along the way. Be a support to your student, but help them to start taking charge of their journey with you in support and helping back in that engine room. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night. Brian, now that you've showed us the website and all these plans and menus, my stomach is growling. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're going to officially say end on the recording and on the sharing, but I will stay on for the panelists for a little while. So if you're really bored and want to hear us banter about a few things, we'll be here. Oh, that's not it. Here's where. Okay, let's stop sharing. There we go. Goodness.